In the quiet village of Okoko, under the shade of tall irako trees, and amidst the songs of early morning birds, a girl lived, but not like the others. Her name was Zuri, yet the villagers called her the evil child. Zuri, her name meant beautiful, yet the villagers saw none of that in her. To them, she was evil. Whenever Zuri walked past, children and adults alike would glare at her with suspicion. The children refused to play with her or even speak to her. Instead, they called her cruel names, whispering harsh things behind her back. These taunts broke Zuri's heart. But Mrs. Ade, one of the few who saw beyond the rumors, believed Zuri was simply a victim of tragic circumstances. She often encouraged the girl to stay strong and ignore her haters. "Keep your faith in God, my child," Mrs. Ade would say gently. "He sees everything." Years earlier, when Lily was barely 2 years old, tragedy struck. Her parents took her to their farmland, like every other day. They laid her gently on a wrapper beneath a mango tree, not too far from where they worked, smiling back at her little claps and laughter. As they tilled the soil, the skies suddenly turned dark. Rain poured violently. Thunder roared without warning. Then it happened. Lightning struck, and her mother and father were both killed on the spot. But little Zuri? She was found hours later, drenched and crying under the mango tree, untouched. When the villagers heard of it, they didn't see it as a miracle. They said, "This child, she must be a cursed child who survives lightning while her parents perish." That has never happened in the history of our land. There is something strange about her. She is evil. From that moment, Zuri's fate was sealed. The village elders gathered under the irako tree to decide who would take her in or she will be killed, considering that she is evil. After hours of heated debate, they agreed she should live with her father's younger brother, Mr. Tim, a now wealthy farmer who had inherited Zuri's late father's lands and livestock, also with the portion he got from his late father. This made him wealthy and boastful. From the age of 2 until she turned 19, Zuri lived a life of sorrow and silence. But the home Zuri was sent to was not a home. It was a prison without bars. She woke before the cock crowed, fetched water from the river, swept the compound so neat and sparkling, washing clothes stream, and toiling in the hot sun on Uncle Tim's farmland. She works with other laborers as though she is a slave. Her palms were hardened before her heart even knew comfort. Mr. Tim's wife, Auntie Lily, treated her like a curse. She would beat her with sticks, even for mistakes she didn't make, pour bad oil on her food so she couldn't eat, and spit out insults like fire. "Are you deaf? Must I say it twice? Go back to the river and fetch clean water, useless girl." Auntie Lily often shouted Zuri. Her daughter, Zara, was pampered like a princess. She never lifted a finger. Even their son, Queasy, was spared. But sometimes, when no one was watching, Queasy would sneak into the kitchen to help Zuri cook or carry firewood to make her chores easier. He was the only soul who showed her kindness. One dry season, a young man came to Okoko. He was quiet, humble, and his hands were always busy making something. He built tents from strong leather and tree poles, tents for the shepherds and their flocks, repaired roofs for families. In the raining season, he will till the land for their owners and get paid. His name was Kofi. He was not like the other men. He didn't wear golden rings or walk around with pride. He ate with the poor with humility and slept under the stars. He lived simply. Day by day, with the little he earned, he built a modest hut at the edge of Okoko, near the woods. After some years, as he became familiar with the villagers, Kofi quietly made his intentions known: marriage. He approached several young, beautiful girls in the village, but they mocked him for his simplicity and poverty. Amaya, the daughter of the richest chief, mocked him one day after his marriage proposal to her. "Me marry a poor tent maker? God forbid," equalizing her beauty to that of the goddess. Kofi didn't give up. One evening he approached Manda, a beautiful girl, whom hoped to make a good wife. On her way from the river, but she poured water on him. "Go wash yourself first," reminding him how poor he is. But Kofi was patient. He kept to his work. He built many tents for Mr. Tim's animals. and work on his farmland even in the hot sun. Mr. Tim is a bad debtor, accumulating the stranger's payment because he hates paying debts. After 2 years, Kofi came to demand for his full payment. Kofi, in a calm but firm voice, said to him, "It's been 2 years, sir. I need my payment." Kofi, the money, it's not ready. But Kofi insisted. Mr. Tim grew worried and told him to come back the next day. Mr. Tim, not having the money at hand, discussed the matter with his wife. Then Auntie Lily whispered an idea to her husband. Give him Zuri as wife. After all, no one wants her, and we have nothing to lose. We have many other workers, and he too. Kofi has been rejected by every girl in the village for marriage proposal because he is poor. Give him Zuri. He needs a wife, doesn't he? The next day, Kofi returned for his money. Then Mr. Tim told Kofi about his good offer. Take my niece instead, and I know that you have been finding it difficult to get one. He sounded in a tune as if he is doing Kofi a good favor. But Kofi also liked the offer. He had seen how gentle and hardworking Zuri truly was. She is actually beautiful, he said to himself. The beauty was hidden beneath her worn appearance. He has watched her labor tirelessly day and night. He decided to accept it as fate. Maybe God has something better planned for me, he said to himself. And so it was. Zuri was called upon at once. Mr. Tim said with no emotion, You will go with Kofi. He is your husband now. Go get your things. Zuri was so surprised. Just like that. No asking. No choice. Tears filled her eyes. She looked at Auntie Lily. Nothing but a cold stare. She glanced at Zara, who smirked, and with a mocking voice. Good riddance. Maybe thunder will finish what it started. Zara said, laughing, but Queasy stood there in silence, fists clenched, but helpless. Zuri wept silently as she followed a stranger to a future she didn't understand. The journey to Kofi's small compound on the edge of Okoko was quiet. She walked behind him, head bowed, afraid and uncertain. Her bare feet, bruised by the rocks, reminded her she was still unwanted. Kofi glanced at her occasionally, noticing her struggle, but said nothing. His heart, however, ached. He had watched her suffer for years and had vowed to give her a new life. For hours, they said nothing. Her heart was heavy, her eyes swollen from crying. Kofi said softly, I know you don't know me well, but I promise, I will never hurt you. Zuri thought in her heart. Why would he promise that? No one ever has. But what she didn't know was that her suffering had caught the attention of her Maker. God is in her favor. Her humility had been watched. Her pain had been stored in sacred jars. And the man she was given to, Kofi, was no ordinary man. That night, Zuri sat on a wooden stool under the soft glow of the moonlight. Kofi handed her a warm bowl of delicious food after carefully preparing it. He then settled across from her, quietly watching her eat. Why did you agree to marry me? She asked suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper. Kofi's fingers tightened slightly. Because I see something rare in you, patience, strength, he replied. Zuri looked up, startled. No one had ever complimented her. Not once. Her face softened, but her mind stayed cautious. But, they say, I bring misfortune, she murmured. He smiled gently. Those who fear light often call it evil. I don't believe them. I see your truth. A strange warmth settled in her chest, but she pushed it away, not ready to believe in tenderness just yet. Thanks for this delicious meal, she said. Kofi nodded and smiled at her. As days passed, Zuri noticed little things about Kofi's home. It was simple, yet remarkably clean. His tools were always in place, well kept, and he read a lot of books. Books she had never even seen before. Weeks turned into months. Kofi treated her with kindness. He never raised his voice. He respected her silences. Slowly, she began to smile. Real, genuine smiles. She went about her chores with peace, and Kofi often gave her a helping hand. They began to enjoy each other's company, laughing softly over shared meals, exchanging glances that said more than words ever could. Gradually, love bloomed, quiet, slow, but certain. Zuri became more lively, more expressive, her heart slowly opening to Kofi's quiet affection. She started to laugh more, tease him, even sing while working. The villagers noticed. Those who came across the couple in the woods whispered among themselves. Have you seen how Zuri glows these days? Kofi is changing her. But none suspected the truth behind his calm eyes and gentle demeanor. Then one evening, while cleaning out an old box, Zuri stumbled upon a photograph. It showed Kofi dressed in an elegant suit, standing beside a luxury car. Her heart skipped. "Who is this?" she asked, pointing at the picture, her voice filled with confusion. Kofi chuckled softly and took the photo from her hands. "That was me, in another life." He sat down and stared into the fire, his face distant. "Before I came here, I was known only by my father's wealth. But I wanted something more." Zuri slowly sat beside him. "So, you're not just a tent maker or a soil farmer?" Her voice trembled with disbelief. Kofi nodded slowly. "No, I'm the heir to my father's empire. But I needed someone who would love me for who I am, not for the money. Thank God I found you. Fate brought us together, and you're the most beautiful soul I have ever seen." Zuri smiled, "And when the time comes, we will go to my empire." Zuri was so surprised, not knowing what to think and what empire is all about. That night, Zuri lay on her mat, unable to sleep. Her heart was restless. An empire. What could that be? She whispered to herself, looking at Kofi on his own mat. Why would such a man choose me? Minutes later, the past years of pain and rejection replaying in her mind. Her thoughts were a storm, just like the one that had taken her parents away. One quiet evening, a messenger arrived at Kofi's hut, dusty, breathless, and drenched in sweat. "Your father, the great King Hamilton, is gravely ill," he announced. Kofi's hands trembled and sorrow filled his heart. "I must return home," he said quietly, his eyes meeting Zuri's. "The time to return to my people is here. I can't wait till the end of Okoko Festival, but I must return at once. I am the only heir, the son of King Hamilton of the Idudo Kingdom." Zuri's eyes widened in disbelief, her lips parting as a gasp escaped. You're a prince?" Kofi gave a slow, solemn nod. The next morning, they packed in heavy silence. Zuri's fingers quivered as she folded her wrapper into a small bundle. Her mind was a storm. Fear clashed with hope, and confusion clouded her heart. Kofi noticed her unease and walked up to her gently. "You don't have to be afraid," he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You have found a place in my heart, Zuri, and I thank God for giving you to me." He looked deep in her eyes, and he found expression that was beyond words in her eyes. "I love you," he said, and Zuri also gave him the reassuring word of her love and the happiness she has found in him for this past months. While they sat on the carriage, driven by the servant, that word love echoed through Zuri's mind like a warm drumbeat. No one had ever spoken it to her with such fire. It meant everything to her. Kofi also was happy hearing from Zuri how truly she has come to love in him in this few months. 2 days later, they arrived in the city. Zuri's world burst open with wonder. Towering buildings that scraped the sky, lights that sparkled like a million stars, and servants who bowed and called her my lady. She stood frozen at the gates of a new life, her heart racing. And then she saw it, the grand mansion, guarded by a golden gate engraved with the words Kofi. She turned to him, her voice trembling. "Why didn't you tell me all this from the start?" Kofi smiled faintly. "Because I needed your heart before your eyes." The royal palace gleamed like a gem in the sun as they arrived. King Hamilton and his queen stood at the entrance, aged but regal, their eyes filled with pride and longing to see their son and the woman he holds with great esteem. "My son," the king said warmly, pulling Kofi into a tight embrace. "It has been so long since you left, and now you return with strength and love in your eyes." Kofi bowed respectfully. "Father, the messenger, Smith, told me you were ill." The king chuckled softly. "I feel much better now. Seeing you again is medicine to my soul." Then, with confidence and conviction, Kofi turned to Zuri and held her hand. "This is Zuri," he declared, "the lady I love, the lady I want to spend the rest of my life with." The queen exchanged glances with the king, who gave a single, approving nod. "Let her be clothed in royal garments," he ordered. "She is to be honored." Kofi squeezed Zuri's hand as they stood side by side, He leaned closer and whispered, "You are mine." But deep within Zuri's heart, a flutter of doubt remained. Would this new world swallow her whole? Could she truly belong in a place so grand, so far from the only life she'd known? Yet as Kofi's hand remained firmly in hers, a new feeling stirred within her courage. Whispers began among the king's relatives, and they rose in protest against Zuri. She is a nobody, and the worst part, she's a cursed child. One of the traders from Okoko village who had come for business told us about her evil deeds. "Our fields will go barren, and our crops will die," said one of the villagers. The words traveled like wildfire. Zuri heard them. That night, she curled beneath the silk covers of the palace room, tears soaking the pillow. She didn't make a sound. Kofi found her there, broken but silent. He knelt beside her and gathered her gently into his arms. "You are more royal than any of them," he whispered, "because you endured what they never could." The king and queen, touched by Zuri's humility and strength, made a royal proclamation. "Zuri shall be loved, respected, and honored, for our son has found joy and a worthy heart in her." Early the next day, a town crier beating a drum and shouting the royal proclamation to a gathered crowd in the village square, villagers reacting with surprise, and they took heed to the king's proclamation across the land. Months passed. Their wedding was held in the royal garden, beneath a canopy of stars. The crowd was vast, the press overflowing. Trumpets sang, drums rolled, and lanterns floated into the night sky. Kofi whispered, "You are my queen." Zuri smiled through misty eyes and replied, "And you, my lord." But though her lips smiled, her heart still bore invisible scars. The wounds of rejection, loneliness, and whispered curses did not vanish overnight. Yet within Kofi's love, she found something sacred, something healing, and that she chose to cherish with all she had. When the planting season arrived, the villagers were blessed with lush, thriving crops. At harvest time, their barns overflowed with grains and fruits in a way they hadn't seen for many years. Joy swept through the village. Songs of praise filled the air as they danced and gathered together. They showered the king with heartfelt gratitude and spoke fondly of Zuri, whose presence they believe had brought about this rare season of abundance. Zuri was so pleased she thanked her maker for the bountiful harvest in the land and for wiping away her tears and giving her a new name. Few years later, Zuri steps down from a chariot in Okoko, adorned in royal attire. The villagers couldn't believe their eyes. One villager whispered to another, "Is that Zuri, the evil girl?" The other gasped, "God of mercy, she now a queen." She entered her uncle's compound. As Mr. Tim saw her, he bowed his head in shame. Tears streamed silently down his cheeks. "Forgive us, Zuri. We were blind," he said, his voice trembling. "Auntie Lily, we didn't know your destiny," she pleaded with Zuri. "I didn't need you all to see my destiny. I only needed love. But none of you gave me that. Only Queasy did." Zara stood frozen. "I'm so sorry, my dear sister. Please forgive us." Queasy stepped forward, eyes glistening. "I always believed in you," he said. Zuri was happy to see Queasy. "Thank you. You are my only light," she said. But Zuri didn't return for revenge. She returned with grace and blessings. She built a clean water well for the villagers. She opened a school for orphans. And she gave Queasy a scholarship to study abroad. Her heart had learned the power of forgiveness. She walked to the land where her parents had died and were buried. Kneeling beside their graves, she whispered, "I made it, Mama. I made it, Papa." As she stood up, Kofi came, and gently he said to her, "Let's go home." They walked hand in hand through the same village that once mocked her. Now, the same people watched in silence, their eyes filled with awe and regret. And so, the girl they once called evil became the lady who healed them all. Thanks for watching. Dear viewers, what did you learn from Zuri's journey? Never judge a soul by the storms they survive. Sometimes the most broken wings belong to angels. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more African stories of hope, pain, and divine purpose.